With Dame headed back to Portland after a few years away, and then CP3 going back to the Clippers after even longer away, it's got us thinking here during this NBA offseason portion of the calendar. Get you in your feels. And those feels are sometimes a homecoming is all that's needed to make you feel all right in the world. And thankfully for us, there's a required reading to go along with it to tell you about Dame and Chris Paul going back with the Clippers. You see the numbers of those contracts. 3-year deal for Dame. We won't see him play next season as he recovers from that Achilles injury. Chris Paul, though, will still wear the number 3 jersey. Got that from Brad Beal, who gave it over to him. Now he's ready to run it back with the Clippers, and we're ready to run it back and talk a little bit more about reunions and life in the NBA. And for that, we welcome in NBA writer Jasmyn Wimbish, who has an article up on CBSSports.com right now chronicling 4 different reunions we would love to see in the NBA, since we are getting these 2 right here with Dame and CP3. And let's start with the king, LeBron James, going to Cleveland.
Yeah, I think that would be probably the most storybook ending that would end LeBron James's career. I mean, he starts in Cleveland, goes to Miami, goes back to Cleveland. So let's just cook up another 3rd stint for him. I think it would be the perfect scenario. And it's also a situation where if he were to go back to Cleveland, let's say it's after this year, let's say that the Lakers do end up buying him out either this summer or somewhere along the trade deadline, Cleveland would be a team that LeBron could immediately join, and that would be a championship contending team that he would just be adding on top of that in terms of depth. I think that in the last couple seasons, Cleveland has really struggled to kind of get over that hump. We saw them struggle despite being the number 1 seed this year in the playoffs. LeBron is that guy who can carry them over the finish line. And if this was to be LeBron's last year, which I don't think it is, because I'm sure he would probably tell us already, but let's say it was LeBron's last year, I think that would be the perfect ending for him to end his career, going back home to Cleveland, winning a championship potentially, because that's something that could very well happen. Him, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, that's a complete team over there in Cleveland. And having LeBron join them, I think, would just be cherry on top of a wonderfully decorated cake that Cleveland has put together already. Who knows if it'll happen? I think that there's been some inklings in the offseason. People have, reported, oh, LeBron's practicing in Cleveland's facility, and there was a lot of things before he picked up his player option from the Lakers. But I think any scenario in which James returns back to Cleveland, it would probably be a buyout situation, just because no one's going to fork over the amount of players and assets that requires to get James on the roster in a trade. He's set to make $52 million a year this upcoming season. So I think if this is a scenario that happens, I think it would have to be a buyout situation for LeBron going back to Cleveland. But if it happens, I think there would probably be a movie made about this. If LeBron James went back to Cleveland for a 3rd time, especially if he was to deliver them another championship, I think it would just be the perfect movie. I'd be seated in a theater waiting to watch that happen.
Yeah, I'd be front row. I'd ask, hey, can I come to the movie premiere? Because I want to see it that early in advance. Another Cleveland, this is for you from LeBron. Oh, man, just write that in the documentary immediately. So that's LeBron to Cleveland. If we're talking other dream scenarios, this one's a little bit different, and I'll say I would be partial to this one because I could go see him play in person way more often. But LeBron coming back to South Beach as a Heat fan, as a Heat fan who does not like Heat players, meaning I'm a Heat hater, I would not want to see that. But how would you feel about LeBron going back to Miami?
I think it makes a ton of basketball sense for LeBron. It doesn't have the warm, fuzzy feelings or the sentimental value as if he were to go back to Cleveland. But going to Miami, this is where he learned how to become a champion in the first place. So going back there, teaming up with Tyler Hero, teaming up with Bam Adebayo. Again, this is a world in which LeBron James is bought out. I don't think anybody's going to trade for him at this point. So if the Lakers did buy him out, which allows him to sign anywhere else in the league, him going to Miami, he immediately could become that guy on that team. Tyler Hero could shift back to a role where he's better as an off-ball threat. Pick and rolls with him and Bam would be just completely lethal. And in a weaker Eastern Conference, especially next season, this is another situation where the Heat could go on a run. We've seen them do it before. They've been lacking that oomph to get them over the finish line. Jimmy Butler did a great job of that when he was in Miami, but him alone was not able to carry the Miami Heat across the finish line enough times. And he did lose to LeBron James in the finals, so we know LeBron can be that guy. He can elevate teams to levels we've never seen before. I mean, look at those early Cleveland Cavaliers teams when he first started his career. So him going back to Miami, I think would make a lot of basketball sense as him in the centerfold of that offense and on the defensive end of the ball as well. It would just be kind of an odd thing. I can't see him going back to Miami. I could very well see him going back to Cleveland, but Miami would be a very exciting atmosphere, and yes, you would be able to go and watch some games, so that would be fun.
So our next one, I think, would not be a topic if Dame wasn't going back to Portland. But this one, it just makes sense when you think about it, what's happening right there out west. C.J. McCollum going back to the Trailblazers, how would that be?
Yeah, I think this is, in my view, probably the least likely of the ones that I've listed to happen, just because C.J. McCollum is 33 years old. He's still a guy who can shoot the heck out of the ball from three-point range. He's a guy who could very well be a very good complementary piece on a championship team, and Portland really isn't that right now. It's kind of confusing what Portland's doing in general. I mean, they got Dame for the sentimental value. They already traded for Jrue Holiday. They've got Scoot Henderson on their team. They've got Shaedon Sharpe. So their backcourt is already completely packed right now. So I don't think it makes a ton of sense from the basketball perspective, but the sentimental value, and the other reason why he's on here is because C.J. McCollum got traded to the Washington Wizards, and this would be really a move to just kind of rescue him from the Wizards. And you know, this is no trash talking on the Wizards, but that is a team that is in the middle of a rebuild. They really have not established winning culture for pretty much a decade. So kind of rescuing C.J. McCollum, taking him back to Portland, teaming him up with Dame, and he would also be a great veteran presence to have in that locker room and somebody that could come in and play day one instead of somebody like Dame who's going to be out all of next season. So this is really about getting C.J. off the Wizards and getting him back to Portland, but I think it's probably less likely to happen because he is in the last year of a contract, so I think there's going to be a lot of interest in him probably closer to the trade deadline in February. Probably some championship contending teams would love to have him on their roster, but Portland's been doing a lot of the nostalgia right now, so why not dip back into the well and bring CJ back and create all of this nostalgia going forward?
Yeah, we can go from a Wizards team that's not going to be very good, a Portland team that's trying to rebuild, to now talk about a team that is very good, the champions in Oklahoma City. If they were somehow able to just patch things up and get KD to come back there, how wild that would be.
That would be a truly insane scenario, especially with how everything ended with KD in the Thunder. I vividly remember watching his first game back in the OKC when he was playing for the Warriors, and all of the booing, the cupcake signs, the friction between him and Russell Westbrook on the floor. It just felt like it was a situation that neither side could really come back from. But it's been about 10 years. You know, old wounds, they heal with time. So I think that maybe towards the end of KD's career, maybe he entertains going back to the Thunder. I don't see it happening now, obviously. He just got traded to the Houston Rockets. He'll be there for a couple years. But let's say he really wanted to go back to OKC, right some wrongs, mend some fences. That would be an insane scenario, but it would also be a situation where if there was a trade that happened with OKC, it would probably be him and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They would probably have to part ways with somebody like Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. But the Thunder have a mountain of picks even after they did a trade to bring back KD, so they could go out and get other pieces to surround that duo with. It would just be kind of the perfect storybook ending, similar to LeBron in Cleveland, where everything's all happy and positive after what seemed to be a really negative ending to that tenure with him in OKC. So I think that would be something that a lot of people would like to see. I think that it would win a lot of brownie points for KD and the Thunder, and it would be an interesting one to watch. I personally would love it if KD went back to the Seattle Supersonics, if that team existed again. Adam Silver has pretty much said that expansion isn't on the table right now. So, you know, we probably won't get that in KD's playing career, but that would be the ultimate homecoming situation, is if he went back to Seattle, if they still had a team. That would be appointment viewing television. What
is the OKC reunion, though, if we don't bring along Russell Westbrook to also join in on the fun? So I'm thinking, like, things that I would like to see, I've got to put that up there as well. Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's one that's definitely I wanted to put on my list, but I didn't put it on there. But it's something that I could actually see happening. I think Russell Westbrook as a backup point guard to SGA on the current Thunder roster, I think is something that's really doable if he's willing to accept that bench role. He was, you know, more than willing to do it in Denver. He's a free agent right now. He's getting some interest from a couple teams. I think that would be a wonderful moment for him to be this veteran on this team. OKC's already won a championship. he could come in, be that spark plug off the bench that we've seen him be. And his tenure with the Thunder didn't end in negativity like it did with KD. So it would just be a really welcoming moment for the Thunder and for Russ being on a team that really wants him. I think in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of tension between him and other teams, specifically with the Lakers, and there was a lot of criticism that got tossed his way. But if he went back to the Thunder, it would be all positivity for him to be able to end his career there would just be a wonderful thing, I think.
Yeah, just seeing those photos that we popped up from the old days of OKC when they had the trio, including James Harden, throwing Nick Collison, Serge Ibaka, all those fun times. It would be fun to see if we could just get some sort of reunion down the road. Jasmyn Wimbish, thank you very much. We appreciate the trip down memory lane that we got from your article. Check it out on CBSSports.com. And this is the little recapper if you are forgetting what we just discussed with Jasmyn in her article up on our website right now. LeBron maybe going back to Miami, back to Cleveland. KD to OKC, CJ McCollum to team back up with Dame in Portland. It's just some fun things that we would enjoy seeing on the hardwood.